All right. All right, everybody. So happy Friday. I am excited that it's Friday, and I'm also excited to see what Fawn, has in store for us tonight. I just want to do a quick little introduction for you all. I met Fawn through a mom business owner networking little group organization. It's funny because she actually lives in the small town where I went to high school, and where my family all still lives, where Fawn, I'm actually headed down there tomorrow. But, yeah, so a little small world. But Fawn, pre-pandemic, you used to own and operate a gluten-free food cart in the Eugene area, correct? Yeah, and so pandemic hit, things changed, and so now she is working on getting together a blog of gluten-free cooking and resources, and all kinds of fun stuff there. So I'm going to turn it over to Fawn, who's going to give us some meal prep guidance for the holidays, and show us this amazing app that she put together. And then when she's done, we'll have some questions and answers. For those of you watching on Facebook, I also have that open on my phone. So if you have questions, feel free to drop those in the comments and I can relay those to Fawn for you. And then at the end, we will take any questions and give you guys more information about how to connect with Fawn and where to find her. So Fawn, I have made you able to share your screen, I believe, and I am going to pin you so you're nice and big on everybody's screen, and we should be good to go. So welcome.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me from over here?
You'll say you're a little bit quiet, but we can hear you a little bit.
Just trying to figure out how loud I should be. Is this good?
Yeah, that's good. Just project. Sounds good.
Okay, so we're going to do this a little bit backwards. We're going to do some meal prep stuff, and then we're going to plan the meal prep. Just go with this. So basically, when I owned the food cart, I realized that what you need to do is you have to figure out how to have the most diverse menu, have the best options available, but you should have as few ingredients as possible. And the really cool thing is, here, I'll just come and sit down close to the computer for a second so you guys can hear me. But so I realized that you need as few ingredients as possible, but have the most diverse menu as possible. So that's my goal here, is to show you how to plan like restaurants do, and how to make it so that you don't get, if you're getting all the same ingredients, you're not getting bored, or your kids aren't getting bored of the same stuff. I also have a blog post that is quite long, and it goes over all a lot of this stuff a little bit more in depth probably than I'll get here. But what I did first is I just have an example over here. I couldn't get my camera to kind of show my face and the food, so I'm going to try to make sure you can see everything. So what I did is I said that my theme for this planning is yogurt and tomatoes. So yogurt and tomatoes are things that go bad in my house. I don't know about anyone else's house, but I always end up I get some plain yogurt to do something with, usually a recipe. And if I make the recipe, I'll use half of it or some of it, but then I don't end up using it for the other stuff. Or if I get sidetracked or have a difficult day and I don't actually get it done, then it kind of all goes to waste. So what I've done here is kind of show you how to use all of that stuff in a variety of meals. So see here. So I just took some chicken out of the freezer, and I've just got this reusable tin so that I can break it up a little bit, and I'll put it back in there. And then I have a whole bunch of onions and squash and potatoes, and that will just go right in here. And then when I go to cook this up, or honestly, you know what I'm going to do with this meal is I am going to wait until I'm having a difficult day and tell my husband, just put it in the oven. Just put that in the oven. I don't want to deal with dinner right now. And it makes it so easy. Trust me, he's not someone who I'm the cook in the family. It's okay. He does lots of great stuff. But he may have finally mastered how to make mac and cheese, and we're very proud of him. But we're not relying on him for flavor profiles. So I've got that all set up here. I have, you can't really see it here, but I have 3. These are just, you know, containers that you can put in the freezer or fridge with a lid on them. And I have 3 containers like this of just ground beef. So I got one of those big chunks of ground beef and just put it in here. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to have cheeseburger fries. We are going to have marinara sauce, and we're going to have nachos. So it's kind of and then the chicken thing. And then I also have chicken tikka masala. I just put chicken in here and the yogurt and the spices. And so now with the rest of the yogurt, I put it out into some different containers. And there's 2 things that I'm going to do with that yogurt. And I'm not going to make either of them up right now because I don't know what I'm going to want this week. So what I've been working on here is I've got some strawberries that I chopped up. And so I'm just going to put those into a container here. And I've got some blueberries. And now when I want to have some yogurt, even though it's plain yogurt, these are going to be sweet enough that it'll be fine. We can just add that right in. So I can have this as a snack or a lunch or whatever I want to, right? So I can do that. And then the other thing that I'm going to do with these is I can just take some cucumber and chop it up. And I can add some cucumber and some fresh dill to this, and it's a tzatziki sauce, and just take some fresh veggies and go with that. So I have 2 really great options, and my kids will eat either of those options too. So I just love working with fresh herbs, but they get kind of expensive, and so I don't like to have them go to waste. So I have dill, rosemary, thyme, and mint. And these, between all of these meals here, there will be a lot of them covered. So I want to make sure I can show you guys the absolute, I won't cut these up, but I put rosemary and thyme on the chicken, on the roast chicken. The dill and mint are going to go into the container that I'm using for the tzatziki sauce. I'm also going to put the rosemary, thyme in all of the ground beefs. And then I'm going to add, I also chopped up, one of the things I say is I always need backups. The chicken's one of my backups. And this as well, this is just cabbage. I just chopped up a bunch of cabbage and put it in here. I have coleslaw dressing made up. And so then I can just put it on the plate. My kids always eat coleslaw. So that's just a really easy thing for me to do there. And then I can put some of these fresh herbs in there too. And it just really makes it great. So let me see if I can switch my camera a little bit here. Hold on. All right, I've got you guys here now. So what I was going to do next is show you this app that I've created. It's on this program called Airtable, and I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed with Airtable or anything. It seems really complicated and it can come across really complicated, but it's really not. You have to think of it like a bunch of spreadsheets just put together on top of each other where you can cross-reference them to each other, okay? So I'm going to try to share my screen now. And you should be seeing that. Brittany got, okay, cool. So the very first tab we have over here, so these are, they call these tables. So the ingredients, recipes, and meal plan prep are all across here. And so down here, you can see all of my ingredients. I have 143 different ingredients listed on here. And so these are just for a bunch of recipes that I've got in here. And I have it on the side here. You can see that it is sorted. All the ingredients, just the produce, so just the dairy, just the spices, so just by the different type. And this next tab is recipes. And this is where you'll probably spend most of your time. So this looks just like a regular spreadsheet here. But if you click down on these views, you can see browse all recipes. And you can just scroll through and get some, the intent of this page here is just to be able to scroll through and get some inspiration. So what you want to do is just kind of scroll through Google or wherever you do to get ideas for recipes. And then you want to go, okay, you know what? I have a lot of zucchinis. You know what? Maybe I can do some zucchini fries here. And then when you click on it, you'll see all the ingredients that you need to make it. And then you have a space to link to the recipe online. So what you can do is you can actually add your own. So I'll give you the link at the end here, and you can actually go through and you can basically, you copy it into your own workspace, and then you can add your own recipes on here. So you can put, if there's a specific vlog that you like, you can put in the link to that particular recipe. You don't have to add pictures. I just like to do that for the gallery view. It's just like, oh yeah, that one. And then you find something and you go, I want to do that. So, okay, so I want to do zucchini. And you know what? I have a lot of zucchini. So I can, if it was during the summer or something and I've just like got zucchini coming out my ears, so what I can do is I can click on zucchini. Now here's the cool thing. Now you see all the recipes that are in here that use zucchini. So then you can say, okay, so I can do those zucchini fries. And oh, the nachos and marinara sauce. Okay, so maybe I can do this marinara sauce. But if I get a bunch of mushrooms, I might not use all of those. We rarely use marinara sauce or something like that. Then you say, okay, so I'm going to click on the cremini mushrooms. So if I do this, is there something else I can then do with it? So then you're kind of going off of each of those and using all of those ingredients in different meals during the week. And that way you don't get stuck with ingredients for one or two recipes, and you've got all of these ingredients that are used in multiple different dishes. So I just named this one tonight, and basically you can go up here and you can filter, add condition. I know it's a little bit techy, but so filter, add condition, and you can say where ingredients, contains, and you can put it in. Or you can say ingredients does not contain. So if your family is allergic to tomatoes, so I'm going to look for recipes that don't have tomatoes in them. Now here's all the recipes that I've put in here. Remember, you're putting in your own recipes. You're putting in your favorite recipes so that you can see what is it that I've cooked in the past that we all really liked, and do it like that. And you can add actually multiple. So I can't have tomatoes in here, but maybe I really want, I've got a lot of onions to use. I mean, I always have onions to use. So now I'm looking only at recipes that do not have tomatoes, but also contain onion. And so I've got all of these. None of these will have tomatoes, but all of them will have onion. Okay. So like this butternut squash soup, it's actually made with apples and cumin and goat cheese. It's really good. But so you can kind of see that there's a bunch of different ingredients. So you can kind of see how you could figure out different stuff and different ways of looking at what food you might want to make for your family that week. And so then this third table here, I have it defaulting to the calendar view. So if you want to go ahead and use this, you can just go ahead and plan next week. So I'm going to make one. I'm going to expand that here. So we are going to make that for the 15th. Let's say that we're only planning dinners out and everyone kind of fends for themselves the rest of the day. And then let's see, let's just choose the Korean beef tacos. Let's say that's what we wanted to do. Okay, so we've got this Korean beef tacos for dinner, and then from there, I can actually click on there. Okay, so what else uses beef? I know there was another one that used beef, but and so then I can go to the next day and I can say, okay, so dinner. And I'm going to, I think that instead of beef, I wrote steak. So maybe we want to do some steak pitas with chimichurri sauce for that day. And so then you can see here on the calendar, it's going to tell you what your meal plans are. You could also plan, go through and plan your breakfast and your lunches as well. So let's have some pancakes. And then you've got this here. And so it'll show you that it's for breakfast. Anyway, that's how you use the app, and it's free. There's no charge for it or anything like that. I don't think that I kept saying that enough, but it's absolutely free. It uses Airtable, so you do need an Airtable account, but the Airtable account is actually free, and this would completely qualify under Airtable's free account. And so we'll give you that link so that you can go through and you can, up in the corner up here, it's going to say copy base. And you'll just need to copy it and it'll be all yours.
Awesome. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Any chance that after you get all that meal plans out on that calendar, that there's like a button to click that will then give you your shopping list?
So I was wanting to do that. And so my husband's actually a web developer. So I'm just kind of a no code developing here, but he and I have been talking, and he says that if I can get my website to make some money and he doesn't have to take some jobs, he might make an app later on that would do a little bit more. And I could do that in here. It just would take a little bit more finagling, and I was trying to focus on just planning it here.
No, you got a ton of great stuff. I was just thinking, ooh, that would be cool too. But no, there's a lot of great info.
But I don't have it in the capabilities right now, but maybe at some point.
Awesome. Okay, so I will put out the call for questions again. I have a few people watching on Facebook, a few people live here. So if you guys are live on Zoom and you have a question, you can feel free to, turn your cameras, turn your mics on, and ask Fawn any questions. Veronica says that she loves the ingredient stacking, and Rebecca says that this looks fantastic. Veronica also says that everyone needs a husband who can follow instructions. So that's great too. But okay, so Facebook has a little bit of a lag. So again, I'm going to say, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments on Facebook and I'll relay it to Fawn here. But while we're waiting for anybody to ask me questions, Fawn, do you want to tell us a little bit about the blog and your adventure there?
Yeah. Of course. So my whole thing is, when my son, who's now 9, was when he was under a year old, I think he was about 8 or 9 months, he was failure to thrive. He was under the 10th percentile after being born in the 85th or something like that. He was a big guy. Very, very big baby. But he had fallen really far down. And so the doctors were like, I have no idea what to do. And at that point, he was too young to be tested for celiac disease. And so they said, let's just try anything at all. Here's a list of foods that you can try to go without and see if it helps. Long story short, he is now 9 years old and almost 5 foot tall. So it worked. So we don't really know exactly what it is. It could be celiac disease. We're just not really sure, and we can't test him. So we are very, very strictly gluten-free because he has very bad reactions to anything that has to do with gluten. And so I started learning how to cook differently and stuff like that. And then in 2017, I opened a food cart, gluten-free food cart in Eugene, Oregon. And I did that until COVID hit. Around the time of COVID, just before COVID actually, I ended up having to pull my son to homeschool him. And so I ended up having to sell the food cart. But I love my kids. I love my home, but I just needed something for myself. So what I've done is I've kind of redirected that energy from the food cart. I realized what I love doing the most was to help people with gluten-free. I wasn't really focused and driven to sell everybody on gluten-free, and to sell these particular dishes. And it's kind of a man's world, the whole food industry is. So after having a little bit of a break, I decided to go ahead and start this blog. And I started I got most of my food cart recipes on there. Most of the ones in that app are food cart recipes. And but what the blog really veers towards is how to handle things when you're gluten-free. It's just a lot different because food is part of everything in our lives, right? So if you go to a birthday party, okay, so you've got a 5-year-old with celiac disease and you can't just drop them off at a birthday party. It doesn't work like that. And so I have an article on how to, how to prepare and how to deal with the birthday party, or how to deal with Christmas or Thanksgiving, or, different social situations. I'm also working what I'm really excited about is I'm creating a web app so that people can find gluten-free, dedicated gluten-free, only dedicated gluten-free will be on this. And it will not be crowdsourced. It will be me actually researching to see if they are dedicated gluten-free. So restaurants all through the country. And I'm also starting where I'm saying, here's recipes. So I have recipes from my grandma. I don't want someone else. I'm gonna, if I search what's the best flour to replace, what's the best gluten-free flour to use in pizza dough? Well, if I search that, then I get a bunch of gluten-free pizza dough recipes. Well, I don't want someone else's pizza dough recipe. I want to use my grandma's pizza dough recipe. So what I want to know is, what is the best flour to use for pizza dough? And there's just not that out there. So I'm doing that. I'm taking a bunch of different recipes that typically use, all-purpose flour, and I'm substituting in a bunch of different brands of gluten-free flours, just to see what reacts the best, what comes out the most like the original version. So then it can be a complete resource for people who want to do that. Anyways, I saw a question. Let me pull that up here.
I don't think a question. I think just lots of thank yous and awesome information.
Gluten-free options are so important for us with celiac and other gluten-affected autoimmune issues, of course. Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of a thing, is like that. It's really important to me that people understand that celiac disease is one reason to be gluten-free, but it's not the only reason to be gluten-free. And it's important that we say, hey, it doesn't matter why you're gluten-free. You say that you need to be gluten-free and you need to be really strict about gluten-free. Okay, that's what you need. Some people have tried paleo or keto diets and realized that it's actually gluten that they're having an issue with. Then that's fine. If it resolves your medical issues, then what's the problem? There's, my sister has Hashimoto's. I've got a lot of different autoimmune conditions in my family, and there's different people who there's a lot of different things that gluten-free diets can do. And there's kids like my son who we have no idea why, but you really don't want to be around that kid when he's got gluten. The best thing about gluten-free is if you aren't, it's easy to adapt. Yeah. Yeah, the app and everything I've shown here, it really doesn't have much to do with gluten-free. But the thing is that gluten-free people, they actually, because it's not very safe to eat out and you have to have so much control over your food, you end up eating from home so much, which is kind of why I wanted to address this on my blog, is because you really need to figure out how to inexpensively do it. And I actually did a study a few months ago. I surveyed over 100 families, and about half were gluten-free and about half were not gluten-free. And I actually found that when you take into consideration people's grocery budget and you take into consideration how much people eat out, people who are gluten-free are actually spending less money per person overall, over all of the families that we surveyed.
Because they're not eating out so often.
Because they're not eating out. It is expensive to eat out gluten-free, but even taking that into consideration, and there were actually families who said that they ate out a few times a week that were gluten-free, which I thought was unusual. But even those families, so basically what I did is I took the average amount of what someone spends when they go out to eat. I found some kind of study that that showed that, and then I just applied that to everybody. And then people reported what they reported the amount that they spend on groceries. And then I just kind of figured out based on how many people were in the household, how many were gluten-free and all of that stuff.
Awesome. So much great info. I'm looking really forward to going back to that Airtable because I just scanned through it when you sent me the link. So I'm excited to go back through and play with it.
Yeah, and it's really important that people know that you copy it to your own space. The link that we'll give you, you won't actually be able to edit it, but you can copy it with all of my information in it to your own base. And then you can add your own recipes. So you just go to Pinterest, or if you have a few different recipes that you have bookmarked, or you can even just take a picture of a favorite recipe that you have and put it in there. You don't have to put the picture in there, but it's just nice when you're scrolling.
It makes
through
it pretty,
stuff.
Right?
Yeah, but you can just totally customize it to your own needs and to your own family's needs. And so then you can even be sorting it by, oh, look, someone's not going to be eating here that night and they really don't like this one food, so let's go ahead and have that food. So let's sort by all, what does everyone else like, doing that. And the blog post that I wrote does go into just kind of like more on the process of how to go through and meal plan, by saying what people are liking in the family and then choosing those ingredients and branching out from those ingredients. So if you are interested in that, definitely check out that post.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, I have links to both of those. I'll be sharing those in the group and in the event. And it'll also go up probably on Monday on my Facebook page as well. So there will be lots of opportunities for you all to get that link. But yeah, thanks again, Fawn. And yeah, have a great weekend, everybody.
Well, thank you so much for letting me come on and babble on here. I know I've probably taken up too much of your time, but I really appreciate everybody here. And thank you again, Brittany, for inviting me and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm going to stop the recording.